Hey, what's going on, traders? Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys were all able to end on a green note today. And I want to thank you guys so much again for taking the time out of your day to go ahead and watch my recap today. But as usual, I'm going to provide you guys with an update and let you guys know exactly how my day trading did go today. So let's get right into the recap. So as you guys can see from the screen, right, today was a green day in terms of my day trading. I was up $91.37 on SQQQ, and I did lose $16 on TQQQ, right? So I was up about $75 on the day in terms of my day trading. And with my open shares on Tesla, right, that did make me another $40. But these were all my filled orders, right? You guys can see I started trading at 6:33, ended at 8 o'clock today, right? So about an hour and a half of trading. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know exactly how I was able to make money with the market selling off today, right? So as you guys can see, right, we are currently looking at the NASDAQ on the 1 day, 1 minute chart. And what you guys will notice is that yesterday, right, after we had a really nice rally, we ultimately entered, right, into pre-market and we were still in the green. So we were actually climbing, making these higher highs and higher lows, right, indicating signs of an uptrend. And as soon as market opened, right, you see these increase in volume bars right around here, right at 6:30. It shot up, right, and I decided to try to go with direction, right? Direction was in my favor, momentum was in my favor. So right at market open, when I saw it pop, as you guys can tell, my first trades of the day were actually on TQQQ, right? So I bought in, right, and then had to cut it for a loss. Then I tried it again and cut it for a loss. Tried it again, cut it for a loss, right? So I kept taking small losses on TQQQ. And the main reason for that is, as I mentioned, oh, oops, let me back out of this. So right? The market itself was indicating signs of an uptrend. Right at the market open, we did see this thing start to push. I bought in, got rejected, I sold out. I decided to try back another entry right around this area, right? We saw it pop a bit, but it ultimately continued to get rejected, right? And I believe once more I tried a TQ position right around this area, right? After I thought that, this thing has continuously been uptrending and there's still a chance it could catch a support here and continue to run on the day. But ultimately, the reason why I decided to switch into trading SQQQ was every single time this thing broke above the EMA, right, which is this blue line here, every single time it broke above, it did a horrible job of holding, right? It would get rejected, make a lower high, push back up, try to, ultimately break above EMA, but it'd get rejected again, right? And it would sell off pretty aggressively. So after this, sell off here, right? What that told me was it might most likely will start to sell off on the day. Doesn't mean it has to, right? It could have caught a support at middle VWAP and continued this uptrend pattern the way it's been trading, right? Where it'll break below the middle VWAP, catch a support, and continue to uptrend, right? So I was ultimately looking out for that here, right? For this type of bounce, I was just being selective and not getting in at this moment, right? I was waiting for direction to truly form. And once I saw this thing break above, got rejected. It broke above again and really struggled to break this resistance, right? And as it finally did break down, that's when I really started to get into SQQQ, right? So I ultimately tried getting in a few times, right? I'd buy in, average up, cut the shares, and ultimately we'd see these little bounces, right? And so how this thing would bounce, it would continue to sell off. But what you guys will notice is I stopped trading at 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock is right around this area. So I did take a few losses in the morning on TQQQ, right? I ultimately took another loss here, I believe. And then as I saw this thing continuously get rejected, really struggled to hold above the EMA, I decided to focus more on SQQQ, right? And another reason why I decided to do that was if you look at the NASDAQ, right? What we'll notice is it's been consolidating and trading sideways for a while, right? Ever since the 7th of this month, it's been trading between the top and bottom VWAP, right? It'll be trading sideways. No longer was it aggressively selling off the way it was here. It was trading more sideways. We did see this aggressive sell-off, but it ultimately recovered, right? Still trading between the bottom and top VWAP. Got rejected again, right? Tested the previous support level, and we ultimately validated it as a support. This thing started to push up. And, we did know that there were resistance levels around these general areas, right? It's more overbought around these areas. So there is a chance that it could pull back. Doesn't mean it had to pull back today, as I mentioned. It could have continued to run, but that's not ultimately what ended up happening, right? We ended up seeing this thing sell off. And so I was able to take advantage of that. Right, as we saw this thing sell off, I was buying into SQs, right? Really trying to average up and not get caught on one of these bounces here, right? And ultimately, after about one trade where I was able to make back my losses and, start to actually gain profit on the day, I was trading with $10,000 today, but I was not using $10,000 for a very large amount of the time today. And what I mean by that is anytime I did average up using $10,000, I would almost immediately size down because there'd be some form of bounce. And I didn't want to risk riding this thing up fully in, right? So I would average up and average down a lot. That's why I have many orders, right? As you guys can tell, 60 orders is quite a lot for me. And I have been using Active Trader, right? So I'm able to pull up another chart doing this here, right? Where you guys can type in another chart, set it up, and then I have been using Active Trader, right? And what this allows me to do is buy in and out, right? At almost instantaneously, right? So I can put the amount of shares I want. Say I want to buy 100 shares, I click auto send here. And so every time I press buy and sell, it'll instantly buy me in and then sell me out, right? So I've been using that. I have been finding it more effective, right, to fill me in and out of trade. So, but that's ultimately why I have been having more fill orders, right? Because I have been able to buy in and out quicker. And so I have been sizing up and sizing down a lot faster. And so ultimately, as this thing continued to sell off, I was really pretty much riding this thing only with 25% position size, right? So $2,500, this thing would sell off. I'd continue to ride it. When I saw this pop, right, I decided to cut my shares. And then as this thing continued to sell off, I bought back in. And then ultimately, I just decided to cut it right around this area. I saw it start to bounce. And although it could have continued to sell off, I didn't want to take the chance that it, did find a support around this area in reverse. And then I give back all the profits, right? So I decided to cut it there, walk away. $75 profit. I was down $20 yesterday, so I am currently green on the week. And yeah, I was just excited of the fact that I was able to, change directions on the day and still end on top, right? Even with the Nasdaq selling off, I was still able to make profit. And ultimately, right, I did stop trading at 8 o'clock, which is right around this area. But I honestly did see this type of reversal happening. I actually walked away from the computer and I saw this thing continuously selling off, right? And right around these areas, I knew it probably looked pretty good for a potential bounce. Doesn't mean it had to bounce, right? But this is why you may have wanted to get in with a small position size here, right? Or say you thought the bottom was here and so it would have made more sense to get in with a light position size, right? Because say you got in fully here thinking it's going to bounce, as this can continue to sell off, it would have scared you enough to where you most likely would have cut losses. And then it would have played out exactly how you thought it would. And it would have just sucked, right? To not have taken part in that. So that's why it's smart when you don't have any clear signs of confirmation. If you want to buy in with a 10%, 20% position size, you're more than, you know, capable of doing that. But once this thing finally starts to indicate signs of a reversal, what do I mean by that? Well, it's no longer getting aggressively, rejected by the EMA. It finally broke above the EMA, right? Tried falling, and then we saw this higher low. So at this play here, it would have been nice to have averaged up, sized up, maybe cut the trades as it's struggling here, right? And then continue to size up as this thing ultimately continues to run, right? That probably would have been a smarter way to approach it rather than just getting in blindly with the full dollar amount here, right? You want to get in lightly, and then once it does start to confirm signs of an uptrend, you want to be adding to it then, right? It makes no sense to be adding to something that's losing you money, right? It's just counterintuitive is what it is, right? Because you're pretty much you're adding money to something that's constantly losing you money, right? Rather than waiting for it to actually start making you money for you to add to it, right? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's everything I pretty much wanted to cover in today's video, right? Market was super bullish, right? We had a nice day yesterday. It ultimately changed direction right away, right? And I was able to take advantage of that by getting into the inverse ETF. Now, there was obviously more money to be made on the table. You could have gotten in on this reversal here, right? And then it ultimately had another reversal on the day right over here. Near market close, it did ultimately sell off and it ended up reversing really nicely, right? So definitely lots of opportunity today, even though direction may not have been the most clear, right? But yeah, that's why we, as day traders, we got to take it day by day and really not be biased when it comes to showing up, right? Not just be thinking, oh, it's going to be TQs today. Oh, it's going to be SQs today. You really want to have an open mind because if I didn't have that open mind today, I would have really gotten wrecked, right? I would have been thinking, oh, TQs is finally going to bounce here. Oh, it's finally going to bounce here. Oh, it's finally going to bounce here, right? I would have continuously chased TQs rather than, accepting the fact that direction is changing and, trying to go with the flow. So very happy with my performance in that sense. I did want to make you guys aware that this week there are going to be lots of earnings that are going to be released, right? So there's actually this cool website I found right over here, right? So if you guys visit this website, it'll pretty much tell you a list of when all of the earnings reports that are coming out this year or this week are released, right? Well, you guys will notice tomorrow, October 19th, what do we have? Tesla. Tesla is reporting earnings, right? So that could potentially influence the price of the stock. It could shoot it up or down, right? No one really knows what they're going to release, right? Or what's going to be said, but we do want to keep that in mind. If you guys do have any open shares in Tesla, right? That is definitely something you want to keep in mind. They are going to be releasing their earnings after market close, right? So that's what all these companies are going to be doing, right? So we have Tesla, Procter and Gamble, right? So definitely a few big names in there. And if you guys even look at today's chart, right? We had Johnson and Johnson, right? We had a bunch of companies, even Netflix, report earnings after market, right? So we ultimately want to be prepared with that, right? If you guys have any open positions, make sure to take a look, see if they are reporting earnings this week, right? If you guys don't want to take the risk of this thing of this tanking and because of the news that they released, then do yourself a favor and get out of the position tomorrow, right before market close. But that's ultimately everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. I want to thank you guys so much again for your time. If you guys are new to the channel, we really do appreciate you dropping a like and subscribing. It really helps us out a lot. And other than that, if you guys have any questions at all, want me to break down a stock indicator, go ahead and drop a comment and I will be more than happy to answer that for you. But yeah, until then, I will see you guys tomorrow in my recap. I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys then. Take care.